Story 1. Me, 26 male, and my girlfriend, 25 female, moved in together after 1 year of success. Now things are going bad fast. For the past year, we have been dating semi-long distance, with 3 months of non-long distance and 9 months of spending about a week out of every month living together. We have had excellent communication, always working through issues with success and respect. We both would remark about how this was the healthiest relationship either of us had been in. We finally moved into together permanently, which we were both excited for. However, things have not been good, at least for me. Her mood goes from happy, excited, silly, to cold, dark, angry, and silent instantaneously over the smallest things, such as a spaghetti sauce being too chunky, a grocery store not having the cat food she wanted, resulting in a full meltdown, and snapping at me for suggesting she take home some leftovers in case she got hungry later. When I talked to her about why she gets so quiet and what I can do to help in those situations, she told me she gets quiet so I don't tell her she is snapping at me. This is because I asked her why she snapped at me in the restaurant. I guess it was a poor choice of words, but that's how it felt, and I feel like I didn't deserve it. There has been an issue like this, at minimum, once a day since we moved in. Some days 2 or 3 times. And every time after it blows over and she's back to being happy and silly like nothing happened. And I end up feeling like I got put through an emotional meat grinder from the whiplash of her switching from happy to angry and back to happy at a moment's notice and without anticipation. Today was the biggest one, because I told her I was going to grab my toaster oven from my parents' house so I can make some of my favorite recipes. We were having a great time, and I just mentioned that, and bam, 2 hours of silent treatment, walking 10 feet in front of me everywhere we go, and then just back to happy-go-lucky randomly. I'm so stressed. I don't know what the heck happened to the girl I've known for the past year. Does anyone have any advice or been in a similar situation? I just drove her and all her stuff across the country, and I feel obligated to keep trying, but I'm getting worn out. I have been in a relationship before where behavior like this happened, though less frequently, and she was diagnosed BPD. I'm getting freaked out that I just signed a lease with someone who could be BPD. I'm not diagnosing her or anything, but boy, it's starting to feel like I'm back in that situation. TLDR. Girlfriend of 1 year, and I moved in together. Relationship was amazing before, and now suddenly she is having mood swings, giving me the silent treatment, and is like a different person who is very immature. She used to be the most mature girl I've ever met, and I don't know what happened. Now for the comments. This is tough. Sorry, OP. Moving in together is usually the test to see if the relationship can go the distance. But she moved across the country, so it puts a lot of pressure to try and make it work. Except how she's behaving is unacceptable. You signed a lease with her and are stuck with her until you two work this out or split ways, but you don't have to allow anyone to treat you disrespectfully. When my husband and I first moved in together, I had a habit of being bossy. One day he said very calmly but in a serious tone, "I will do what you're asking me to do, but I don't like how you're asking me to do it." And then he left to go do me the favor. It was such a good example of him sharing exactly where he stood. He loves me and wants to make me happy, but he's not going to stand being treated like a doormat. He also said it exactly in the moment when I was behaving my worst, and then Mike dropped his way out of there, so I had no choice but to sit there and reflect on my behavior. That day was a turning point for me. I can't say things will go the same with you and your GF, but try to channel that level of calm and collected sense of self. You draw the line on how you let people treat you, and you uphold that line when someone comes up to it or crosses it. She is towing that line, and she needs to be told. Stonewalling is a form of control and abuse. She is holding the relationship hostage when she refuses to talk about or work through her issues. You can't work towards resolution with someone who isn't willing to show up and do the work with you. If she's not willing to work through these issues, then she's just a roommate. And you don't revolve your life around your roommates. She can figure out her own way back home if she just expects you to deal with her attitude. Also, the fact that she just goes back to normal with no apology, essentially sweeping it all under the rug. When my BF and I moved in together, he occasionally would snap at me, and I just had to say, "I know you don't feel good or stressed, but it's not okay to speak to me that way." And that seemed to do the trick. Obviously, stress can make people act mean, but if either of us snap at the other because of whatever, we always apologize and clear the air and move on. I would not be okay with OP's GF failing to address it at all. It sounds like OP's GF needs to seriously learn to manage her expectations, IL. If she needs space, she needs to be able to communicate that, and after that space say, "Hey, I'm sorry I acted that way. I was feeling XYZ, and that's something I need to work on." Daily, huh? That's tough. I typically think we need to allow our partners to have some room for emotions, but this sounds like it is on the extreme end. Holding yourself accountable is probably the right play here. Give yourself X time, and if it's not better by that point, commit to getting your own place. I suspect you're right, though. It sounds borderline-y. It sounds really bad. I don't think you need to diagnose anything, but if her response to ordinary small stressors is to lash out or shut down, it isn't okay, and you don't have to live like that. I'm unhappy for you that the stakes seem to be, if it's not working, you have to move back across the country. That's a lot of pressure to put in a living situation. Too much pressure. Did you all talk about what happens if it doesn't work out? And are you prepared to help her get back home if you do break up? Anyways, the next step is conversation. And you might try asking her for ideas. How can we navigate stressful moments in a way that gives you room for your emotional experience, that isn't taking it out on me? But yeah, I'd be preparing to end this relationship. It sounds horrible. Story 2. I'm not happy in my marriage anymore. And I'm not sure if this is just a rough patch or if I should just call it quits. For starters, I've 31 female, been with my husband, 33 male, for a total of over 11 years, married for 4. We've had a great relationship. The guy is literally my best friend and soulmate. But lately, I've been finding myself to be rather unhappy. Backstory. Not too long ago, I found out he had downloaded a dating app while he was away on a work trip. But he swore left and right that he didn't do anything. After almost a week of arguing and contemplating divorce, I chose to believe him. Maybe a mistake on my part, but he seemed sincere, don't judge me. And we decided to try to work things out. What bothered me, though, is that he started acting like literally nothing happened, so I brought this up to him. Like I wasn't expecting him to be groveling at my feet begging for me trust him right away, but I would have at least liked to see him put some effort or something. And he heard me out, and really has been trying ever since, and I see his efforts. But for some reason, I just get upset at any little thing he does, even the littlest white lie. I think the straw that broke the camel's back happened yesterday. He went to the grocery store while I was at work, and he texted me telling me he got me a snack, and that made me happy. So when I got home, he excitedly have me a chocolate that he knows I like, and I was like, "Yay, thanks." And then I asked him what he got at the store, since we just went grocery shopping this past weekend, and he told me what he got, and then he said he got himself a snack too. So I was like, "Cool, what did you get?" And he said, "Oh, I got myself chips," and proceeds to show me 2 family-size bags of chips. At that moment, I was somewhat bothered, but was like, okay, cool, I guess. Later on, I was going through junk mail, and then see a carton of ice cream in the trash can. And it was truly then that I realized I was unhappy. Why? Because this man lied to me. I know it's stupid, I really do. Like, why am I getting upset over a pint of ice cream? I then go ask my husband again what he bought at the store, and he lists the same things from earlier, and I ask him, "Is that all?" And then he confesses to the ice cream. Even as I write this, I feel extremely stupid for getting upset over ice cream, but I feel like after the whole dating app situation, what else is he lying to me about? Or will lie to me about? And with a straight face. Is this just a rough patch we're going through? Or what is this? Anyone that has gone through a rough patch with their significant other, did you get past it? Or when did you know to call it quits? TLDR. My husband lied about buying ice cream and made me question what else he has lied to me about, all after we decided to work things out after I found out he downloaded a dating app last year. Now for the comments, what reason would have to be on a dating app if he swears he didn't do anything? He probably didn't do anything because he couldn't get anything. I'm with everyone else. The food snacks, a guilty pleasure, not a big deal. People do that. The dating app, that's a big deal and a betrayal without a doubt. Not doing anything? How about downloading a data app and looking at people wanting to date? So yeah, that's a real problem. Destroys hearts and trust. You're not upset about the ice cream. You're trying to avoid the bigger deal, which is the dating site, and projecting it on the ice cream. Because, understandably so, you want to avoid its implications and consequences and what it means about your relationship. That's the problem when people do things that break trust. It can take years and years for it to go away. And if it's a trust issue, any further trust issues are more damaging as the relationship has been damaged by the first trust issue. If the dating app thing didn't exist, this would have bounced off your relationship. But since it's got a crack in it already from the previous damage, the ice cream was able to damage the relationship more. Transparency is the only thing that can try to repair trust. Once you damage trust, it begins to multiple any further activities that aren't honest, and it's how it can easily destroy a relationship. No, this isn't just a rough patch. I think you both want to put the whole dating app situation behind you and get back to normal. But the truth is, you are struggling to trust your husband because he broke your trust. It takes work to get through something like that. You can't just sweep it under the rug and pretend like nothing happened, either of you. There is nothing stupid about disliking being lied to, BTW. That's a reasonable and standard response. I couldn't have said it better myself. I heard something the other day, might have been from the Gottman Institute, and I'll paraphrase. Relationships are not built on trust, they are built on truth. Trust is the product of truthfulness. How could you ever trust him when he can't tell you the truth about small things, let alone big things? Whether it's a small or big lie doesn't matter. The fact is, something gravely injured your heart and broke your trust. He should be willing to be honest moving forward, and if he isn't, that says a lot about his character. Lying is a big deal, even when it's low stakes, like ice cream. Maybe especially then. You're thinking, it was just ice cream. Why is the lie a big deal? But that's the thing. It was just ice cream. Telling the truth wouldn't have been a big deal, and he chose to lie. Someone who lies casually about unimportant things is harder to catch when they lie about a big thing, because they aren't going to show normal tells. You said you decided to work this out, but nothing has happened. What would working this out mean to you? Is there anything he can do that would restore the trust you had in him? If you want to give the relationship one more shot, you could try couples counseling. If possible, you should do individual therapy for yourself, whatever you decide. Personally, I wouldn't bother. He's probably going to lie in counseling. Story 3. I've fallen in love with my best friend. Help. I, 21 non-binary, have a crush on my best friend, 20 female, and I'm terrified of telling her. We've been best friends for almost 3 years now, and spending time with her is probably the best part of my week. When we first met, I thought I only liked guys and just saw her as my friend. But over the years, my affection for her has grown, and I realized over the summer that, oops, I'm in love with her. I know those are strong words for a crush, but after being her friend, I just can't help but love her and who she is. I don't know if she reciprocates. There were some moments that made me wonder if she liked me, like certain messages from her friends, but I never paid attention to them because the possibility of me liking her seemed out of the question at the time. More recently, when I told her that I had feelings for a girl, I mentioned that I was briefly attracted to a coworker. She seemed very interested and excited and asked me if I was bi. She also brought it up again out of the blue a few days later to clarify that I liked girls. She has mentioned other crushes to me in passing and doesn't have any serious crushes right now. We used to talk more about our crushes, but seem to have stopped. I've spent the last couple of months trying to find the right moment to tell her, but the time never feels right. She's also incredibly busy with her job, and so am I with classes, so it's hard to ask her to hang out one-on-one. And when we do, I just end up enjoying her platonic company so much that I don't want to ruin our time together by getting serious. I love her so much as a friend, and I have no problem putting my romantic feelings away. I value our friendship over my feelings so much, but I also feel need to tell her. She's going to be moving soon, and I'm not sure we'll ever meet in person again. I don't want to confess over the phone since it's such a serious discussion, and I don't want to take her by surprise suddenly with a single crazy message like, "I have a crush on you," thoughts. The chance that she might like me back is what's really pushing me to tell her. I always see people saying to not confess if you crush on a friend, but I can't help but feel like it'll be worth it, despite the possibility of rejection. I don't know, maybe I'm naive. How should I tell her? Should I tell her? TLDR. I have a crush on my bestest friend in the whole wide world. I keep chickening out when I try to confess, and I don't know how to. Now for the comments. What happens if you do confess and she does like you? Do you want to try a long-distance relationship? Do you want her to just go? Potentially follow her? I'm not saying it's always a bad idea to take the plunge, but let us know what your desired outcome here is. An LDR is the most likely answer. It doesn't bother me, and I'm definitely willing to try it out. It would be kind of sad not being able to hug her, but we plan on keeping touch anyway once she moves. Even if she doesn't reciprocate, I might end up moving to the same place since my industry does really well in that area as well as hers. We probably wouldn't be very close to each other, but close enough to meet if we want to. In my experience, just leave it alone if you want the friendship to stay. She probably would have said something by now. In 3 whole years you haven't gotten any confirmation. That means she sees you as a friend. And honestly, it just ruins the entire friendship from her perspective, because she'll think every time you interacted, you had an ulterior motive. If you're okay with confessing and then never hearing from her again, then do it. She's mentioned that whenever she has crushes on friends, she just keeps it to herself. So if anything between us is going to change, it has to come from me. People in our close friend group have also had crushes on her, and when she rejected them, they continued to be friends with no hard feelings or awkwardness on either side. Plus, I think she'd understand that my feelings are new and that I couldn't have had an ulterior motive. However, maybe you're right.
Thank you for listening. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. If you want more stories like these, turn on your notification to receive the latest stories.